Hello, everyone, and welcome to Where's God podcast. In this podcast, we try to find God in movies, plays, books, shows, in places where He's not obviously found. And most importantly, we try to find Him in our own lives and our own stories. And this week's episode is called Where's God in The Bachelor? And if you know me, you know I'm a reality TV show junkie. I know that this is not actually reality that we're watching, but I do love when I see the realness of it. And I love when I see real relationships, struggles that are relatable. And I like when I see vulnerability and honesty. And of course, I do love a little drama mixed in. This podcast episode will be about the finale of The Bachelor, and full disclosure, I only watched a handful of episodes, so sorry if I have any inaccurate information. I didn't get to see the whole season. Making this podcast was a little challenging because I saw a lot I could relate to with life and our experiences in this show, but I wanted to make sure I was highlighting God as well, and that was a little harder. But to start with, where I first saw God was in Joey, the Bachelor. I mean, he's just so good looking. He's God's gift to the earth. I mean, you can't deny it. No, I'm kidding. Now, The Bachelor, everybody knows, is about finding love. And I realize the scenarios that they put these women in are very unrealistic. And I honestly don't know how any of them can do it. I would not be able to. But it's also a journey for each individual on the show of how they cope with rejection, not feeling chosen, being honest, open, and vulnerable, and the lessons they learn about their weaknesses and how to overcome them. And as I mentioned before, a huge theme in The Bachelor is being open and vulnerable. All the women must open up to The Bachelor super quickly so he can get to know them and also know if they like him, which can be really hard if we've been hurt in the past and we want to protect ourselves. And these women have to choose if they're going to put their heart on the line and share themselves with Joey, knowing full well that they get rejected and essentially open themselves up for nothing. But I had to ask myself, would opening themselves up be for nothing if they did end up being sent home without a rose? And I don't think so, because like I said, this is a journey for each person, and sharing who we are with another person can be very transformative. It's saying, I'm okay with this part of myself. I still love this part of me. Or this is how I came to be me. Or just speaking something hard out loud helps us become stronger. And then that also allows the person to see our strength or help and support us with something we struggle with. This can be the same when we're open and honest with God. Does God already know our struggles? Yes. But when we pour our hearts and souls to God, it does us much good. And then God can start to bring peace to us about what's weighing us down. And once we share all our worries, mistakes, shame, that's when God can show us how much He still loves us and how much hope we still have in our lives. If we're holding on to the parts we feel ashamed of, it's going to keep eating at us and coming up in different ways in our life, like depression, anger, or anxiety. But once we release those and hand them to God, we can feel relief, knowing God will help us through. Last week, I had something really hard happen at work, and that night I just got on my knees and let it all out. I poured my whole soul out and was just crying a lot. And I didn't feel that great during the prayer, and I didn't feel amazing after either. I didn't feel this huge relief, but it was able to help me stop the loop that was going through my mind and just go to bed. And when I woke up, I had a better, hopeful feeling. And then I was also able to share what I was going through with other people. So I think that prayer was the first step in helping me open up and be vulnerable with other people, which helped me talk through things and help me feel better. So I think that once we can release those things, we're not held back anymore and we can move forward lighter in our lives. Like in relationships in The Bachelor, they don't have anything holding them back, and they can try to see if their relationship can flourish and grow. and they can be themselves and be all in once they get off their chest what they need to. So like I said, I feel like this show is really about the individual and their own growth with how they view themselves and how they learn to love themselves and others. In the final episode, it's down to 2 women, and both of these women are absolutely incredible, and they're amazing examples of being vulnerable and kind and selfless. And we see 2 very different journeys. One of Daisy, who really loves Joey, but we watch her throughout the episode slowly coming to the realization that Joey is not going to pick her. And we see her hurt and struggle with not getting chosen, and a bright, hopeful future with Joey being taken away. And then we see Kelsey's journey in the final episode, feeling validated and being chosen and proposed to at the end. And we experience both of these journeys in our life. Daisy, who doesn't get chosen, cries because she feels she's never chosen. And I think a lot of women can relate to that. We feel like we're never good enough to be the one. We're not enough in others' eyes. There's something about us that's lacking, and that's why we're never chosen in the end. And this is one of the hardest feelings and can feel really discouraging and hopeless. And me being 33 and single, I come across this a lot. So when Daisy was crying about it in the show, so was I. But the truth is, God chooses us every day. Every time we see His hand in our lives, He is choosing us. He loves us. And if we let these hard experiences draw us closer to God rather than away, He can show us how much we matter to Him. Like my experience I was talking about, I was feeling really low and was thinking, everyone hates me. But I had the thought that if no one else loved me in the world, which I know is really depressing, but I had the thought if no one else loved me in the world, I would still have God's love. I would always have His love, and that would be more than enough. If I had nothing, I will still always have God. And that thought buoyed me up and kept me going rather than becoming defeated and giving up. And when we see Daisy start to want to give up and think it's not her, she says, I'm going to go into this state thinking it is me. And later she says before the proposal moment, I think it's going to be Kelsey, but I'm not just going to walk away because what if it's not? And we can have the same attitude when we don't know if we'll get the job or if we think we'll lose a game. We can still try with our full hearts and try our best because yes, Daisy didn't get chosen, but still believing and trying helped her become a better person. She still loved him with everything, even though she knew she would not be proposed to. And that's going to prepare her for the next person who comes into her life because she learned how to love someone and be selfless. And she has a lot of great lines throughout the show. And at one point she says, if I can love the wrong person that much, imagine how much I can love the right person. And it ended up being a gift to her that she could love someone like that so much. She said her life was dim before Joey and that he gave her light. And God's love can be like that if we embrace it. He can bring light on a dark day. While others' love may be fleeting or unreciprocated, His love is constant and sure. So if you feel rejected, let God choose you. Look for the good and light in your life and let God bless you. Pour out your heart to Him and find relief and peace in your life because of Him. Thank you for listening, and I hope you can find Him in your story.